Dave, 1 month ago, we started the process of easing very difficult restrictions on all our lives. I stood here and explained our strategy and the rationale that underpinned it. I set out a path ahead which I believed was responsible and realistic. I asked you to continue to exercise caution and to trust the science. That evening I promised that the government would continue to review all of the evidence and that before the end of April we hoped to be able to continue the process of responsible reopening and to give more clarity on the path ahead. The good news is that the strategy is working. Because of your hard work and sacrifices, we are in a better place. 1 million of our children are now back safely at school. Our young people are back playing sport. House building has safely restarted all across the country. Vital non-COVID healthcare is being restored. And critically, our national vaccination programme is progressing well. By tonight, more than 1.5 million vaccine doses will have been administered. That means close to 30% of everyone over 16 has received at least one dose of the vaccine. In making decisions on what should happen next, the government has weighed a number of considerations. We've looked at the progress achieved in managing the spread of the disease, the impact of the vaccination programme, and the need to continue responsibly reopening our society and economy. But we've also looked at the risks of moving too quickly. We have to monitor closely the issue of dangerous new variants and learn from the experience of other countries that are now in the grip of deadly new waves of the disease. And in particular, our thoughts and prayers are with the people of India. As a country, we are doing what we can to help them through this terrible time. As I've said repeatedly, we are determined to do everything we can to ensure that when we open a sector of our society, our economy, it stays open. Taking all of these factors into consideration, we now believe it is safe to continue moving forward in 2 phases over the coming months. The next phase will commence on the 10th of May, when a series of really important and very welcome freedoms will be restored. These include the resumption of inter-county travel. Click and collect services and retail by appointment can begin at all non-essential retail outlets, with full reopening on the 17th of May. Galleries, museums and other cultural attractions can reopen. Our libraries can reopen again. Religious services can resume with a limit of 50 people attending. And we can increase the numbers of people able to meet outdoors for social purposes, including in private gardens, to a maximum of either 3 households or a group of 6 people. Small, organised outdoor gatherings will also be possible, with a maximum attendance of 15 people, while outdoor training for adults can also recommence in pods of a maximum of 15 people. And it is with no small measure of personal relief that I can also confirm that on the 10th of May, hairdressing and other personal services will reopen by appointment all across the country. From the 10th of May, there will also be increased opportunities for those who've been fully vaccinated. Indoor private home visiting will be permitted without masks or social distancing in the following cases. Those who are fully vaccinated may visit with other fully vaccinated people, providing there is no more than 3 households present. And those who are fully vaccinated may visit with unvaccinated people from a single household, provided they are not at risk of severe illness. We will, of course, continue to monitor closely the effect that these changes have on the spread of the disease. And subject to the situation remaining stable, we will then proceed with the next phase. And this would mean that from June the 2nd, hotels, B&Bs, guest houses and self-catering accommodation can reopen for guests. And from June the 7th, the following further steps will be possible. Outdoor services in bars and restaurants can recommence, with sector-specific safety measures in place. Outdoor sports matches can recommence, but with no spectators at this time. Gyms, swimming pools and leisure centres can reopen for individual training. The number of guests attending wedding receptions can increase to 25, and indoor visits in private homes from one other household can begin again. Taking these steps will see many thousands of people going back to work for the first time in many months. I understand how difficult it has been for businesses and workers, and a huge desire there is for people just to be able to make a living again. I thank you in particular for the sacrifice you have made, and it is your determination to get back to successful trading which convinces me that our society and our economy will recover. As we all prepare for and enjoy the greater freedom of movement I've outlined, thoughts will also inevitably turn to what happens next. Clearly, the overriding priority is the continued successful rollout of the vaccine. As you know, we've had a range of challenges to the vaccine programme to manage over the last month. Supply disruptions and updated but necessary advice from the National Immunisation Advisory Council have required change, flexibility and agility. The HSE has shown that flexibility and agility, and we in government will continue to provide every conceivable support and resource to meet the targets we have set. In spite of those changes, 95% of all available vaccine supplies are being administered within 7 days. No effort whatsoever will be spared to make sure that every vaccine we receive into the country is administered as quickly as possible. You have responded extremely positively to the launch of the online portal, and I'm pleased to confirm that over the course of next week, the portal will open for registration to all those aged 50 to 59. The COVID vaccines are transformative. We can see it in countries all across the world, and we can see it here. Already, almost all of our most vulnerable are now protected, and we can already see that the rates of death, serious illness, hospital admissions and infections in people who have been vaccinated have collapsed. All across the country, there are very few families that have not witnessed at first hand the sense of relief and sheer joy of a loved one receiving their vaccine. That will continue and accelerate significantly over the weeks ahead, and as it does, the list of options available to us continues to grow. As I look forward into July and beyond, I want to see our aviation, tourism, and all hospitality businesses back doing what they do better than anyone else on earth. I want to see the safe return of our vital artistic and cultural life. And I want to see our students back on campus for the new academic year, enjoying the sort of further and higher education experience that they deserve. We can do all of these things and more, and plans are being developed in each of these sectors. However, to enable all of this, the key factor remains sticking with the strategy, a gradual, responsible reopening, with all of us observing the rules and respecting the guidance that remains in place. Our choices and our individual behaviour remain key. We continue to escalate the rollout of the vaccine, while all of the time keeping a close and careful eye on the effects that each change we make has on the spread of this deadly virus. It has been a very tough and unprecedented year in so many ways. But at every stage of this public health crisis, you have done everything that has been asked of you. We as a government will continue to do everything we can to support you and make sure that together as a people we emerge from the pandemic in a position where we can rebuild our society and our economy. Today, for example, we agreed that any business currently availing of CERIS which can now reopen will be available to avail of double payment up to a maximum of €5,000 per week to support them in meeting the costs of reopening. Despite the unprecedented demands that the virus placed on it, our health service has been transformed. The health service of 2021 is very different to that of 2019. As Taoiseach, I am determined that we embed that positive change for the longer term. Tá gaisce déanta ag muintir na hairdin, clí go consíoseach dúthrachtach leis na srianta go dtí seo. Tá laidú mór tagatha lín na nothars na hospidéal, agus tá na cásanna le húla den ghalar ag titim. Tá an saora ag tacht. Is cuinlam dáin theáin iréirdáin, filaríis, agus ag tagart do ránóna gréine I gorca glíne. Beg seansa going inis a bheith darfach dóchasach, ag braca gach le ag súil le léhinnta geala an taurig atá roing. As we enter this next stage of a long and difficult journey, we all search for inspiration. We try to find reassurance that there is a solid basis for the hope that is growing within us. For me, I've found it in the faces and the laughter of all those people I've met on my visits to vaccination centres. Because as disruptive, as lonely, as frustrating, and as sad as the last year has been, we are getting through it, and a degree of normality is returning. The company of friends and relations is returning. Hope is returning. Each and every one of us has an image in our head of a moment that we're looking forward to enjoying when we get through this. I know I have. Tonight, each and every one of us is closer to enjoying that moment than we have been for a very long time. Let's stick to the strategy, stay safe, and continue to mind each other. Go to Míle Maithfidh go léir.